Everyone in Miami is a main character. Everyone. Even the people who don't think they're main characters, they're a main character.
When was the last time you had a hard conversation?
You have to set boundaries with yourself when you are an entrepreneur, a workaholic, a leader of any sort. I'm an octopus, doing things all at once, all the time, and my brain enjoys that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rich and Soul podcast. I am your host, Nati Restrepo, and today I have Liliana Fonte. A lot of you guys might know her as a sound alchemist, DJ, but if you're from Miami, then you've been to one of her really dope events. This girl is, the thing that I told you last time I saw you was, I see, yeah, she's amazing at doing events, and she's got this like fairy vibe to her, like very whimsical, magical, but very strong presence, strong. But I'm like, most of all, the reason why I wanted to bring you on this podcast is because you are so organized and you are so like in tune. When somebody's talking to you at any event that I've ever been to with you, that person has your attention immediately. Like you are captivated in that moment and you can hop, boom, boom, boom. I've never seen you like, you know when people are doing events and they're like, oh, so messy, you can't talk to them about anything. You are them, like you have their attention completely in that moment. And so I'm so thankful for you to join us today on the Rich and Soul podcast. This podcast is like bringing those two worlds together. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited. How are you feeling today?
I'm like, keep going, gas me up.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. Thank you.
How is, like, there's a lot of craziness going on right now, right? And I think that like before I was like, all right, where do I want to go in this conversation with Lily? And I feel like you having this Scorpio, we were talking earlier, like you having this very like, you're not someone that is ripping away from who she is. Like you're very in tune with that yin and that yang that you have inside. And I think that requires, that's like true leadership frequency. Like we don't need more like, yoga pilates, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like girly babes, like that's amazing that you are. But let me ask you, like with everything going on, right? I was like, man, what is something that me and Liliana can actually serve for our community? How can we show up today for our community in a way that, man, sometimes it's kind of difficult for other people to be able to do that, right? So I wanted to just start off with asking you, how are you feeling like with all the craziness and like the frequencies, and at the same time you managing like work and the event this weekend and the event that weekend?
Yeah, I think the phrase that I say to people the most, because I feel like it's the simplest way to get everyone to understand, is I'm an octopus. There's like limbs doing things all at once, all the time, and my brain enjoys that. Recently, I've been figuring out how to create more time for myself, because I was filling up my calendar with like 3 things a day, every single day, including Saturdays and Sundays. So there was a moment there where I was like more than I felt I should have been. And I have now found a little bit more of a balance in the past 2 months. And you can literally see it in my iPhone calendar. You can see the space pop out a little bit more. And it looks nice to me visually. I'm like, wow, look at where I was in March, because that shit was crazy. Sorry. Yeah. But right now, with all of the craziness, I've realized, and last year I had not realized this. Last year I was like, no, there's going to be a moment that it's going to slow down. Yeah. And last year was the beginning of like everything starting to speed up. And I was like, no, there's going to be like an easy month. I was like, no, November will be my easy month. November was not easy. December will be my easy month. December was not easy. And then it just kept getting more and more and more until I was like, I have to make it easy. You had to make that decision. I have to make it easy for myself. Yeah. So it's just like setting boundaries with other people. There's a lot of that trending now about setting boundaries and saying no and being like, okay, no, I need to step back from this. Even though I said I was going to go to this party, I need time for myself. A lot of people are learning how to do that with other people. but you have to set boundaries with yourself when you are an entrepreneur, a workaholic, a leader of any sort. Sometimes it's addicting to just keep doing all of the things. As an octopus, it's addicting for me to just rest on one branch, but then continue another one. And to me, that's rest. But no, it's not. Like, you're still working on businesses and on projects. So it's setting a boundary with myself where it's like, hey, no, you will take this time and you will respect that decision that you made for yourself to take this time, the last 2 hours of the day before the sun sets, to like enjoy. Little things like that have kept me sane with all of the craziness that's happening right now.
Dude, and did you play sports like growing up? Like,
I played a little bit of sports. I played tennis in middle school, but
Is she competitive? I'm asking
waved
your boyfriend.
myself. Yeah, I'm a little competitive. And I found my competitiveness in other ways.
Yeah.
So I was in TV production at a very young age, and I was in theater at a very young age, and those are the two most competitive.
Kid.
Oh yeah, I'm a thespian through and through.
Okay, that makes sense. I love it.
Yeah,
because you have that, like, you're an artist, like, and even like she does a lot of events, or you guys don't know, you do a lot of events where you like can dress up and stuff like that. And I think like not everybody enjoys that, right? Like, I feel like for someone who wants to like create that environment, like you imagine this, like I can imagine you like see in a utopia, okay, when you're creating this event where like everyone's dressed up intergalactic. What was the last one?
So the last one was Galactic Rodeo, which is just like space cowgirls and cowboys and aliens and like glamour and sparkles. So it and then it was like in the middle of like a Miami little jungle venue. So the like visual of it, definitely before it even happened, it was in my head as something that I knew was just gonna be like so sexy and so cool at the same time.
So dope.
And where else do you get to like literally dress up in full costume at 10 in the morning in the middle of Miami?
At 10 in the morning, yo. Serious. I love it though. I love it. And it's like, walk me through. Wait, before anything, I wanted to ask you this. Like, let's get this out the way, okay? You're from Miami.
I'm from Miami, born and raised.
She's from Miami, guys. She's from Miami. And let me tell you something. I think that's... We're from Miami. Let me correct that. We're from Miami. Okay?
Literally,
okay? Pero like, no. Let me tell you something. That sets you apart already. That sets us apart.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about this because I want to talk about it too. Like, straight up, right? You grew up in Homestead, right?
I grew up in Kendall, so even Kendall. More 305. No, Homestead has been the last like 3 years of my life, and it's been a lot of peace.
It is so peaceful over there. I love it. But what type of influence do you think that growing up in Miami and now being in the, entertainment space, but spiritual space, right? Like, how would you characterize the space that you're in your own words first? And then what type of influence do you think being a Miami native has had on you?
So the space I'm in is a lot of like creatives, a lot of mindful creatives, and a lot of mindful creatives also involved in music in some way. And I feel like just jumping to like the Miami question, Miami to me, and I realized this later in life, not when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I thought it was just me. Yeah. Everyone in Miami is a main character. Everyone. Even the people who don't think they're main characters, put them in the middle of Kentucky, they're a main character.
Yo,
everyone in Miami is a main character.
True.
So for some reason, from when we're kids, like all of us in public school in Braddock and Varela, like we're getting taught somehow to be main characters and to be like way more out there than other kids in other states. Yeah. And it shows as adults. And then people move over here as adults. I call them Miami grunts. And they try to embody the main character energy, but you can tell a Miamian when you see them. Like, you can tell someone born and raised in Miami. I always say, like, you feel like a prima. Yeah. Like, they feel like primas.
That's
The moment that you hear them and that you talk to them, you're like, are you from Miami?
You're from Miami. And now it's like no one's really from Miami anymore.
Yeah, we're a rare breed.
Yo, I need my Miami people to stand up, especially in the space that we're in. Like, yo, we're all like majestic as heck. Like we're all so powerful, right? Like it's literally indoctrinated in the land that we're standing in. Like we're a breed, girl. I love that you say that we're the main characters, because that's literally what it feels like. Every single person that you go to the grocery store, you go to the restaurant, like the lady making the cafecito, like she literally is living her main character in her own world.
There's a reason that GTA is coming over here and that it's taking so long, and it's because they keep seeing new things and they're like, shit, we gotta put that in. Like, go watch the GTA trailer and you'll see how poppin' Miami is.
Really? Have you seen it? Yeah.
You see, he's not, and he knows.
I love it. Okay. All right. So talk to me about Lily before she entered the space of producing all these cool events and, DJing at these super amazing events and, being like everywhere. Really, you're everywhere. I give you props. Like, girl, you stand strong. And like I said, you stand firm. Like always, nunca te veo cansada ni nada. Even if you are, it doesn't look like it. But walk me through that process of like how you ended up in this space.
Yeah. So in 1997, no, I'm just kidding.
It was the year 1997.
So like I said, I was in theater and in TV production from middle school all throughout high school. It embodied a lot of like my character for a long time. And right out of high school, I got a job at Channel 4, CBS, and that was my dream job. So it was like the first daughter of immigrants getting her dream job. Everyone was super proud of me. I was super proud of me. And it ended up not really being the job for me. It wasn't the space for me. It wasn't the job for me. I found out after a few years there that I was kind of like not on the right path. And it was kind of stressful because this is what I was studying in college. And this is what my parents were really proud of me for. So I was like, how do I like flip this all around? I went through an existential crisis before I even turned 21. And I left the channel. And when I left the channel, I left like cameras behind for a while. And I left like everything behind, and I kind of like even went into real estate for a moment there, like very Miami of me. Very Miami of me. Oh my gosh, I love that. But through a circle of human beings who I don't even talk to anymore, I found club space, and through club space, ironically enough, I found 420 Space Yoga, and that was my biggest introduction to a community that was so tapped into mindfulness.
Yeah.
And through that, I just naturally found my way back to my camera, and I was taking pictures at yoga. And then I naturally found myself helping Tiftopia with her yoga community. And everything was just kind of like, I would look over at Andrew, my fiance, and I would be like, can you believe that we're doing this right now? Can you believe that we're going to this right now? And every week it was something new, like, can you believe that we're going to this right now?
Yes.
And just like little by little, supernaturally, I made my way into the community and found kind of like the places that I enjoyed and the things that I enjoyed doing. Kind of started building my own little sub communities under these communities. So like Fourth Eye with the creatives and Chica Spin with the female DJs in Miami. And then like bigger things started happening, like Daybreaker and my bigger events that I have now. So it was very like everything, divine timing, everything happened exactly the way it had to happen. And when I look back, it's almost like you could write it in a story.
Yes.
And that's how I landed where I am now.
Wow. So like, that's amazing, by the way.
So you can tap into wherever you want in that timeline right now.
Let me tell you something that's super impressive. How old are you?
27.
27. I mean, dude, at 27 years old, like a lot of people are still super confused. And I think that something that you mentioned is you walked in through the doors of space, right? And you continue to walk in through different doors. A lot of times we don't give ourselves the opportunity to, like, the door will literally be open and we're like, I shouldn't go in. I don't know. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't like their vibe. You keep on denying the opportunity, but you saw an opportunity of walking through those doors and you walked in. So you got to give yourself props for that, first, even at Channel 7,
Channel 4,
CBS. Channel 4 CBS.
Never forget.
What did you do there though? With the camera too?
I was in different places. I started out in the creative team. So I was helping them with like whenever they had to do a commercial or like very interesting and unique projects. Like I got to go to the Mikosuke and I got to film like a Mikosuke commercial in the middle of the Everglades. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then they changed me to the like news desk where there's a bunch of phones ringing at the same time. You're getting all of the news coming in at the same time. And basically this team gets to pick what news is going to go on each segment, the morning segment, the nighttime segment. And there was where I kind of realized that I had to go. The environment is very heavy. It's very intense. Everyone's very angry all the time, which makes sense given that all of the news is very heavy, intense, and angry all the time. So I was just downloading that emotion and taking it home. And I didn't even realize back then how empathetic I was, like how much energy I was collecting around all of that. So I was just coming home like, damn. And then the next day driving back into my corporate job. Because at the end of the day, yeah, it's the news, but it's corporate. We're in a cubicle. So I kind of had to like slowly detach myself from this dream that I had since I was 12 of like working in news, becoming a producer.
Really?
Yeah, that was like my dream.
That was your dream.
And I even had like men in this station be like, that's big dreams for a woman. So I was like, oh, bet. Like, so I had like almost like a
something
spark,
to prove.
Yeah, something to prove, like where I was like, I can't let this go, even when like my body was telling me like, let it go. So it took me a little bit of time, more than it should have, to realize. And I remember the day I was changed to the news desk. It's crazy. The woman who was sitting next to me, she was having her own existential crisis. And I realized this now. I did not realize it back then. I just thought she was very sad all the time. And she goes, oh, how many years have you been working here already? And I was like, oh, I've only been here for 1. They just switched me over. And she was like, I've been here for 2 years. 2 years too many. And she just deep sighed. And I was like I was this like young girl with hopes and dreams. So I was like, damn,
I don't want to be like that.
Yeah. And then like literally 2 years later, like I just would remember her every day because that was literally me. Like I was literally feeling that I was like 2 years too many.
You were there 2 years?
Yeah, I was there like at the news desk specifically almost 2 years. So I spent even longer at the news desk than in the creative department. And I got to really just see the world for what it is.
When did the camera come in?
The camera came in. What do you mean, like for?
Because I mean, if your videos, the way you put everything together is so beautiful.
The camera came in, I think in like high school. I started editing creatively, and I had a teacher, shout out Miss G, who taught me how to edit to the beat. She literally taught me like, this is how you take a song, this is how you mark the beats, this is how you edit to the beat. And that changed my life because that's how I edit reels to this day on my own profile. But I went to like state competitions for TV production where I was like competing to be an anchor and competing to produce a news program. And the things that I would repeatedly place in were editing to the beat. So they give you a song and they give you the song. And you have 24 hours to film something happening in the state festival and edit it to that beat. And every year, like, we would place, and it would be me behind a desk, like, for 24 hours editing. And, like, my students, my classmates, like, sending me, like wow. all of the clips and stuff. And I would just be like, and I would be like, my shoulders, and they would massage me. And my teacher would be like, don't leave that chair until it's finished.
Wow.
And then the other thing that I was really good at was anchoring. So I had a lot of like hopes behind and even in front of the camera back then.
But you gave it your all. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not like a lot of people, it's so funny, they'll ask, for those of you guys that don't know, it's not me behind these videos, this YouTube channel that you're watching or whatever, right? Right? You have to pay someone and all this stuff. And that's like a skill that I wish I would have had the opportunity to learn, but it's not about learning. It's about giving it your all. You can't just half-ass it. People be like, yeah. Can I pay you to go and can I pay you to edit a video the way you edit? I'm like, first off, I'm just trying to figure it out myself. Second off, it's not going to work that way. You can't just like half-ass it. I'm going to, try it out with this video. I think it's a matter of, okay, if you do want to gain that skill, you got to give it your all. Right. And that's what true masters do, right? They make it look super simple. And that's something that you're doing right now, like on top of, right, all the events that you're doing.
Yeah.
People might look at you and they might say, oh, Liliana, she does events. She's in the wellness space. Like, not truly understanding that what you're embodying is so much more than that.
Yeah. No, but even that, like, I'm used to, because you'll find me for my events, or you'll find me for my sound healing, or you'll find me from a video that I edited for the Ultra Angels, right? Like, and then someone will come up to me and be like, you're a videographer, right? And I've seen this happen in real time multiple times, where someone else will be like, no, she does this and this. And they're just like discovering my different limbs, like right in front of me. And I'm just like, yeah, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. What do you think for people who tell you, hey, you got to stick to one niche?
I have heard that so many times. I've heard you have to pick one. I've heard you have to pick three. And
you have to pick
I
one,
get it.
3.
And sometimes, sometimes I'm like crying and I'm tired and I'm like in my luteal phase or something and I'm like, ah. And that will be the times where like I get the advice from a lot of my mentors and people, and just like, hey, maybe you should just stick to one. But I know that when I stick to one, that one gets boring to me. And with all love, like I love all my projects, I love all my branches, but I have to be able to jump from one to another and do different things throughout the week that don't just have to do with one thing, because I don't know, my brain works that way. Maybe it's the tism.
Yeah, the autism. It's so funny. Last time I had someone who was like, maybe it's the dyslexia. I'm like, maybe it's my dyslexia too. Talk to me about your like creative process, because okay, you're creating the event, you're coming up with the idea, you have like the wantingness of wanting to rest, of wanting to spend time with your family, of the marketing process, trying to reach more people. Like, talk to me about that. What is the method to the madness?
I'm like, shit, you tell me.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's see I'm trying to figure out my method still, but
for me, my spreadsheets are sacred. They're just as sacred as my instruments, and I feel like if I can put enough intention behind the planning that goes like before an event, and that's why you've seen me send you an email with a run of show that like doesn't exist with any other event in Miami. They're just like, hey, show up at this time. I don't know if there will be parking. And I'm like, and it's because I know that there's going to be so many moving parts. And as someone who wants to be like tapped into the energy and tapped into the people and how they're feeling, because that to me is the most important part. And I say that to everyone, whether we break even in an event or not. Like, did the people have a good time?
Oh, I love that.
Did the people enjoy themselves? So in order for me to tap into that, everything has to have been organized ahead of time. The other things, everyone knowing where to park, everyone knowing where to load in through, everyone knowing when we're starting, when we're ending, the very common questions, do you need electricity for your table? Like, very crazy little tiny things that you don't think people are going to ask you get asked. And with every event, I learn new things. I learn like, oh, okay, I got this question a lot, or I had to do this multiple times. I had to walk into this room multiple times. So how can I streamline that for myself? Do I get a volunteer? Do I put a sign at the door? And sometimes a simple paper sign with an arrow makes like the world of a difference from one event to another. So these little things, and I'll be in my phone like taking notes during an event for next time, like just a sign at the door, a sign at the bathrooms, this, da 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 da. And when I literally go in with the intention, instead of being like, oh, okay, the busy work, the spreadsheets, and I'm like, no, like, this is what I get to do now, so that later I can just tap into the humans and tap into their joy and tap into like the energy. And if the energy is weird, I can quickly change it. You know what I mean? I'm not like the toilet paper. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like it's a lot of literally just being organized. Like, yeah, there's a lot of hippy dippy kumbaya fun in these events, but in order for it to run the way it does, there has to be a little bit of like at the same time.
Yes. I love that you say this spreadsheet is sacred.
Yeah, no, it is just as sacred as my crystal harp.
Yes, I always tell people the tea thing. I always tell people too. I'm like, you know, a lot of these people that you see that are doing such incredible things, like especially in this space, I know it looks really beautiful and we make it look so seamless and it's they look and they feel amazing. But behind that is always someone behind the scenes on a spreadsheet doing the numbers. Does this make sense? Like, you got to be able to sit down and understand that to start any type of business, no matter what it is, you need to understand that you have to dedicate and ground yourself. You have to come from a grounded level. It's not just, okay, the vision is amazing.
Yeah.
And the aesthetics of things is incredible. And you can have so much fun with that. But you have to be super well organized. And I don't think that that's something that a lot of people, because there's going to be a lot of people watching this podcast that you don't even know it, but they're looking up to you. You know, and they're gonna, they're gonna watch it. They're gonna see, okay, well, Nati and Liliana, they're gonna do this podcast, and they're gonna, you know, these are girls that are teaching, and these are girls that are doing events and all this stuff, and they make it look so easy. They think that we're not behind the scenes going through our own breakdowns, going through our own, like, to put this
putting
production
in the hours. No,
our relationships.
I feel like our relationships. I feel like there's so much amazing creativity and so many amazing ideas in Miami. Like, it's a melting pot of culture and ideas. But not everyone is like disciplined in like the logical side. And I think that's where things get like lost or just like trickle out of popularity or even just out of sight. Like, you see these amazing concepts pop up and you're like, wow, this was beautiful. Like the imagery was beautiful. The idea was beautiful. The event was beautiful. The people were beautiful, but it doesn't continue. And maybe it was as simple as like, they weren't budgeting things correctly. They weren't organizing things correctly. Someone somewhere down the line was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And the whole thing crumbled. I've seen it time and time and time again. And usually what's missing is like that little like piece of like someone being there to like organize things in a more like corporate way.
Yeah.
And well, I hate the word corporate. I wish I had another one, but
those are the things that you probably learned working for someone else.
Yeah.
In those 2 years of you working in corporate, right? You were able to understand, oh, damn, like there has to be someone's structure and there has to be a streamline to this.
Yeah.
There has to be someone doing a part that maybe doesn't look so nice. I love that you say that a lot of these events that we see, like, they'll be so much fun. They'll be so beautiful.
Th're beautiful. And, yeah, they're not bad.
They're not bad. And you'll be like, I wonder what happened. Why didn't it continue to happen? And it's so true that the truth is, I always tell people, I have a lot of, I do coaching. So a lot of my clients, they range from different backgrounds. Some of them are in corporate. Some of them, they're getting ready to quit their corporate job. Or sometimes they are wanting to be in the wellness space. And guess what the majority of their dreams are based upon? I want to open up a wellness studio that has cold plunge, sauna, and I want it to be super pink and super beautiful, and there's going to be a Pilates person and this and that. And then I always tell them, hey, when was the last time that you saw one? And they'll be like, well, there used to be one open in Fort Lauderdale. There used to be one in South Beach. I'm like, and what happened to it? I don't know why they closed down. I'll tell you why they closed down. The majority of these cutesy places, right? Most of the coffee shops that you are seeing that you're like, wow, it's so pretty. I wonder how they stay open. I wonder, right? It's so important for people to understand what it takes to do these things. Yeah. And it's not fair that we're gatekeeping all this information. Yeah. And that's why I started this podcast, because I wanted to bring on people from all different spaces, all different paths of life, that were very successful at what they did. Yeah. Right? From a real estate person to a business owner to, a sound alchemist, because that's another part I want to jump into. But it's so much discipline that's needed, and it's not easy, but it doesn't mean that it's hard. I think something really key too, how do you feel about the big push on needing to be a leader, the big push on starting your own company, the big push on I need to be the main center of attention, the main character, which is super hard for a Miami person.
Yeah.
I know, I get it. But I think we need to remind people that it's okay to join a team.
Yeah.
That, like, for me, example, and for you, you have an incredible team. Like, the people that you, from whether it's your mom like me, that I bring my mom everywhere, to your best friend, to your partner, that combination, that has to come from you, right? That ability to communicate with your team and sell them on the big picture. Talk to me about the structure that you take to have that beautiful team.
Yeah. Yeah. It took a long time to figure out how to like create a beautiful team, like a little posse.
Yeah.
It wasn't always the easiest. And for the longest time, like through middle school and high school, and even when I was even smaller, I wasn't the best at keeping friends because I didn't know how to communicate things. And as a Scorpio, I was just very blunt and sharp about everything. So like kids would be like, "You're mean." So I would like not have friends for long amounts of time. So I would have like one or two besties, and then I went through what I went through with like a very special friend group that I don't talk to anymore. And from that point on, I was like, no more miscommunication. No, I'm like, no more sprinkling, like making things sound nice so that I don't hurt people's feelings. No more beating around the bush. No more, like, I am going to be fully transparent with love first, with love and kindness first, because I noticed that the tone I was speaking in to me is my normal tone. This is my tone. To other people, it's very intense. It's a very intense tone. So I have to like openly be like, "Hi, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that you're here. I need you to do this in this way for me because it's not working." Like these types of communications, like, I'm not mad at you. Everything is okay. We need to change, especially when it comes to like events where I'm actually like in charge, where it's not just me taking leadership of like a group of homies. It has to be clear that it's like, "Hi, I love you." And I love everyone. I use the word love so generously. Like, I love everyone. I love my Daybreaker volunteers. I love my friends. I love everyone who comes to 420 and dances to our music. So it's like, "Hi, I love you. This is how you can help me right now. And I love you again."
And by the way, I love you.
Yeah. Because a lot of people aren't hearing that, especially in Miami. And they need to, in order for them to trust you a little bit and to know that like everything is okay, you know, in this crazy,
I love you,
in this crazy moment right now, in this crazy event, in this crazy city, in this crazy evening, everything is okay, at least between me and you.
When was the last time you had to have a hard conversation?
There are barely ever hard conversations because of the way that I come in, like I'm saying. I wouldn't say they're hard, but these types of conversations happen regularly. Like, especially with the bigger events, it's going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to need you to like move this. I'm going to need you to like do this way. You're not going to be able to like go through this place anymore." Little things like that. Or like, "Hey, you said you were going to do this and you did not come through. And I really appreciate our partnership, but you need to do this next time, or this is what's going to happen." All love.
It's all love. I love you. We're good.
But this is what's going on, right? Like, because nowadays you say something and it's business, and this person's like, "Wow, this person hates me." It's like, "No, dude, I don't hate you. But this is what needs to be fixed if you want to continue this partnership, this work, this job."
And it's okay to cut different ways too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many times I'm sure that you've collaborated with someone and that didn't work out, and it's not that you don't like the person. I still love you and I still think you have such beautiful gifts, but to collaborate
Yeah.
with you. I don't think that we're on the same page, you know? We have different styles, and being able to create. I always tell people it's the same thing for like sales. Sometimes people are like, I don't want to be pushy, or I don't want to be too salesy. And it's not about that. It's like, if you are able to create a safe environment, then you're able to carry those hard conversations. I always, every time I would interview people, I would ask them, like interview, like to work though, I would always ask, when was the last time you had a hard conversation? And you know, no one ever gave me that answer. Well, they're not really hard conversations because I have them every day. Some people are like, last hard conversation I had was asking for a raise. I'm like, okay, what was hard about that? So the fact that you're able to say, they're not actually hard because I'm coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the bigger picture. So why would that be a hard conversation?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, even conversations, I feel like people might come to you with like that typical text that's like, we need to talk. And you're like, oh my God, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, I love it.
I like Doctor Strange it in my brain. I don't know if you've ever seen Doctor
Yeah, of
Strange. He
course.
goes like this, and like he has like 500 scenarios in his brain. So I do the same thing. And I'm like, where did I go wrong? I don't think I did. Right? Immediately calms me down and prepares me for whatever this conversation is going to be. So I don't come in feeling attacked or feeling like I'm about to be attacked. And doing that little Doctor Strange trick has helped me so much, because I used to be someone like in my teens who, whatever the first scenario that popped into my head was, that was the scenario that it was.
That was the truth.
It was the truth. And I believed I
The
knew
redirection.
everything. Yeah. So now it's a little different. Now there's like 500 scenarios in my head, and I know that like what I'm immediately thinking might not be the reality. And that has helped me have so much compassion for people. And it has helped me understand people so much more, and where they're coming from when they do come with a little bit of an attack, with a little bit of a, no, but you said this is what was going to happen. And I can be like, it's okay. I love you.
I love you.
And this is the communication we're going to have.
Who do you bounce ideas with? Like when you're in those situations, who's your Yoda?
My fiance Andrew and my best friend Andrea, whose names are the same. Isn't that crazy?
He's in the room, by the way, guys.
Yeah, he's over there.
He is so kind, and so that's a great.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, we've been together for 11 years this year.
Wow.
So very long time. We met when we were 16, and there's no one who knows me better than him. So
wow.
If there's anyone who's gonna be like, you're being a little mean right now, it's gonna be him.
Really? You get to say that sometimes? So you're being a little mean.
Yeah, he'll be like, yeah, maybe you should say this softer. I'm like, okay, maybe you're right. They need to hear it. No.
Maybe they need to hear it. I know. It's tough, you know. I think, especially being in this space, like of not being a people pleaser and wanting to create a safe space for everyone. But dude, this is a normal business, you know, and we have to have those. I'm not even going to put hard conversation anymore. It's not a hard conversation, having a real conversation.
Those real conversations.
Those are real conversations.
Yeah. No argument, no, but you. Just a real conversation between two people who communicated and understood each other and didn't leave the conversation feeling the same exact way they entered the conversation.
Good gems. Good gems. Okay, I want to ask you about, I have seen, I tell you every time, you know where I'm going to go with this, right?
Maybe.
Your voice.
Oh.
Your voice is amazing to witness. And the first time I heard you sing, and then like the last time that I heard you sing, it's like it keeps on like, it's like a, I don't even know what to call it, but it's like it's insane. And I think it's so beautiful because when I see her like open her mouth, like she doesn't even know what's gonna come. She's like, oh, like it's like she's like
I'm tapping in.
You're
and then
tapping.
I lock in.
So where did that happen? Like, when did you start singing? Because, I mean, clearly, I don't know if you always knew that you could sing, because you could have totally done something with that too.
Yeah.
I mean, you are doing something with that, but if early on, I think you would have known.
The voice thing is like is so tricky, and I'm truly finding how to like really just let it be free for the first time ever. And I think the reason for that was because of theater in drama in high school. I was around so many talented human beings. I was around so many sopranos, and this was like back when I was singing, but there was so much structure around it, and there were so many rules around it, and so many notes that you have to reach to be a certain character in a certain play. And it was never me, because my voice is like thick and it's like strong, and all of the voices of all of the leads in the musicals are like high sopranos and pretty. So to me, my voice wasn't good enough to like share with the world. And I loved theater. I loved the idea of being in front of a stage back then, and like dancing and being in a costume. It all trickles into what I'm doing now, right? Like,
yes. Wow.
Loved being in costume, loved dancing. At one point I did play Ursula in my high school show, and my high school shows were popping, bro. Like
really?
They were like full houses. So that was one where I got to like show off like the stronger side of my voice, and that was one of the moments where I really realized, okay, like this is my voice, like this is what it sounds like. This isn't what's gonna get me to places. That was my belief, and I sat with that. And I was a very logical and realistic person back then, so I went to my dream job that I knew was going to get me to climb a corporate ladder. And I was like, I'm not gonna go to New York, I'm not gonna go to Broadway, because that's unrealistic. And I just was running statistics in my brain, right? Like, this is not realistic, this is, so I'm going this route. And then whenever I would watch a musical, someone singing, someone like, it was always like the moments in musicals where people were singing like the ballads, the most emotional things, that would just make me start crying.
Me too. I get really emotional when I hear people sing.
I still do. And I was always like, why am I crying like this? Like, am I supposed to, like, was I supposed to choose this? Like, was I supposed to choose like the hard, like, actor on Broadway route? Like, is this what my body's trying to tell me? But it always felt like, no, like I don't want to be in New York. With all due respect, I don't want to be in New York.
What? I don't know if Miami people.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Can't. I'm an island girl. I cannot.
I don't know. I think the New York and Miami thing is like, yeah. Anyways,
for another day.
Yeah.
But so I put my voice in my back pocket for the longest time. Like, there are literally friends who have known me for years who right now are in my DMs like, I did not know you could sing like that. And I'm like, neither did I.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
Like, low key you did.
So low key, but I had never even realized that this type of like vocal play existed where I could just do whatever I wanted with my voice, like not read a music sheet, not like follow a song. I could just open my mouth and let whatever wanted to come out and play around with that, and people would listen to it and it would touch something inside. I didn't realize that concept existed. So when I first started playing around with like sound healing with sound bowls a little bit, like 3 years ago, I started humming with the sound bowls, and it started like sounding really nice. And one of my mentors, Tiff, was one of the first people who was like, that sounds really good, Lily. Sing louder, Lily. Like we were just hanging out, and I was like I was like shaking, like, no, don't tell me that. And when I went and got my like little sound training just to dive into it a little bit more, and then I started doing my sound healings with like little groups, I started testing that out. I was like with the bowls or like with the drum, singing little, just whatever came out, because they're not even chants, they're not mantras. I'm literally just singing, and people were like so touched. And
it's
to
so
this
beautiful.
day,
It's so beautiful.
To this
honestly.
day, people come up to me and they start telling me, oh my gosh, it sounded like this, and I went here and I went there, and I just like, I don't know where to hide. Me quiero meter abajo un carro, like I'm like, and I'll tell them, I'll be like, I'm learning how to accept the compliments for my voice. So like, don't think I'm like retracting. It's just so weird for me to hear these things, and like my eyes are gonna water up. Like, it's very hard for me to hear so many people's lives being changed by something, because it's kind of like the universe. Let me get a little woo-woo. The universe is like slamming it in front of me, like, hey, this is something you're supposed to be doing. And for the longest time, I was like, no one needs to hear this. Like, no one needs to hear this. I'm not the best. I wasn't even the best in my high school. I wasn't even the best when I went to Thespian State Festival. There were so many incredible people. So like, I don't need to be heard. And now there's people in front of me like crying, saying like, share this.
When
like,
are you gonna hit the studio?
Like, I don't know. Like, even, dude, one of my besties, Brittany Berger, she has my phone music lab, and she's the one who every single week she's like, come by.
When are you gonna do it?
Soon.
You
I
guys
think soon.
hold her accountable. No, I'm so serious. Your voice is insane, and I think the craziest part, like I said, is when you're hearing yourself. Like,
yeah,
it's just,
that's the thing. I'm still discovering it. Like, I still every single time I do something and I'm like, did you hear that? And I always tell Andrew on the drive home, I'm like, how was that? And he's like, no, it was amazing. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. No, okay, guys, we need to hold her accountable to go to the studio because it's beautiful. And
thank you.
And I think that sometimes the things that make us most uncomfortable, right? That's a sign. It's like when you get chosen by community, when people are asking you so much for things, those are things that you need to reflect on. Like, my mom keeps asking me, my siblings keep asking me, my friends keep asking me about this thing. Why don't I do this? Don't take that for granted. There's a reason why your community is saying, hey, do this thing.
And it's funny that you say like chosen by the community, because I feel like so much of what I've done these past almost like more than half a decade now
has been chosen.
Damn, COVID was 5 years ago. Yeah. Like, has been the community choosing it for me. Like, I just get invited to something, or I get invited to do something, and like, I'm never seeking it out. Like, I wasn't seeking out running the operations for 420 Space Yoga for the longest time. Like, I was a yogi who was going there, and then I started bringing my camera, like we talked about earlier, started shooting some reels, caught the attention of my mentor now, Tiff, and little by little she was like, be my assistant, da, 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 da. And I was like, it's okay, like, I just want to do yoga on Saturdays. Like, I just really like this place. Like, it's just very special to me. I'll keep doing the videos. I'll keep catching the vibe. But little by little, I just naturally, she was like, can you help me organize the volunteers today? Can you help me open the doors today? Can you help me scan the tickets today? And it just became this thing where from a few months to another, like, she was like, do you want to like run operations for this for me? And it became official. And I was like running operations for a volunteer team. So it's all volunteer based. This was never like a paid job, but because of that, it was so much more special to me. And I think like free things are my favorite, because when I was little, I used to go to free things all the time. My parents could not afford to pay $20 a person to do things on the weekends. So we checked out whatever was happening for free, and that's what we went to, and that's what we explored. So to me, it's really important to do things for the community that shows up for the free things, because they might not be able to show up for the things that are $20, $30, $50 tickets and beyond. So there's like so many things I want to piggyback off on that, but I want to piggyback off of the free thing. So I see that there's such an importance to offer community free things. However, I find that from my experience that sometimes people truly don't value something that's for free, right? And also being in the spiritual space, people are like, oh, you know, my health and my like anything that has to do with my internal being, I shouldn't be charged for that. What is your thought process on that? So I'll take it like back to Peru. I went to Peru and I got to like speak to some shamans. I didn't do anything. I just spoke to some shamans. She's like, I didn't do anything, I swear. and like, it was important for me to like really like analyze this a little bit. And I say this all the time in my stories now. Yeah. There were some places where you would show up and they would be like $20 ayahuasca ceremony or $90 ayahuasca ceremony. Like, there was like solid prices on it. And then there's these shamans who come and they don't have like a little menu. They don't have anything. They're just coming and they're talking to you. And he told me something about like how at least how it used to be before it became a little bit more popular to just go to South America as a tourist to do this. And not like naturally, organically, the way that shamans did their services was in return for whatever you wanted to give them. So whether that be the tiniest offering ever of just like a plate of food, or like a small something, or you had like something in gold that you wanted to give, like it really was just whatever you wanted to give them for the service that they did. And when we went to Peru and when we like learned about this a little bit, I was with my mom and she was like, mija, like your grandma, because my grandma was a healer in Cuba, and she never learned how to read. That was what she did. She healed people. Wow. And she was like, she did the same thing. She had a cupboard full of the things, the trinkets that people had given her, because she wasn't going to ask them for money. She was just like, you don't need to give me anything if you want to give me something. But she saved so many lives that people actually brought her like crazy shit.
She did have riches. Yeah.
Crazy shit. Like crazy, like offerings that my mom would be like, where did these jewels come from? They lived like in a monte, like in a tiny wooden shack. And they had these like things that she would get. And my mom didn't understand like the impact of it back then because she was a kid. But now, especially like when we go to Peru and when we like see him explaining it to us like that, she's like, yeah, I guess like this makes way more sense than being like, it is $90. So it's not that you shouldn't be charged for your health, because health does have a value, and someone bringing you back to health has a value, right? So there is a value in that, and there should be some sort of reciprocation. The like westernization comes in the locked in price, and in the you shouldn't be able to find this high vibrational type of sound healing for less than $100. I have been told to lower my prices before by facilitators that are doing things for way more luxurious prices. And it's like, why can't the person who can't afford the $200 sound healing listen to my crystal harp and listen to me sing next to their ear? Like, why does that cost that much money? Why can't I do it for free for the people who need it? You know what I mean? And yeah, there are gonna be the people who maybe don't value it, who maybe show up and they're just there for the free goodie bag, right? Like for the free snacks. But there's always, and sometimes it's a random person who I never see again, but there's always someone who needed it. There's always at least one person. And in a room of 80 people, if there's one person whose life I saved in some way through a free offering, it was worth it. All of the facilitators who were involved, it was worth it to me. And that's the juice.
That's the juice. I think that as you're talking, I'm like, where did we lose that ability to be able to have that discernment, to be able to differentiate what is an exchange of value? Because if we're going back in the day, right, and you went to go see a healer and they told you, hey, pay me with what you can, you were going to want to offer from something that had a value. When you do an offering, that offering isn't like, oh, I'm just going to take like this extra gift. It's almost like, let's say it's your friend's birthday and you don't have money, and last minute you decide to give her a used gift. It doesn't feel good, right? If you re-gift a gift, that doesn't feel good. However, if a week ahead of her birthday, you're like, well, I don't have the money. However, I want to do something special for her. So I'm going to write her a card, or I'm going to make her a little bracelet, a little something, right? That is the offering. It's an exchange. It's that value. And so I think that's why the free thing, people mix that, and why we see in our space so much donation based, because a donation is an offering. I always tell people, I'm going to charge so that, and then if I do an event, let's say the one I'm going to do this weekend, out of the 50 people, I gave away 15, right? But to people who I know
needed it,
truly need it, right? I'll write to my friends, hey guys, if you know anyone who's needing this medicine, who's needing the time to reflect, message me. But let's say you have a lot of money and you have a lot of this and a lot of time. What is the exchange for you? money. Okay, fine. But really, the true exchange for a wealthy person is not the money. It's the time.
Yeah.
Time is the thing of value. That is the true offering for them. So that's where we all need to kind of be able to differentiate. Where is my value? Where is my offering? How can I give an exchange? And even like you're saying, you got this huge opportunity, right? At that time, this was a huge opportunity for you from your mentor, right? You went in as a yogi, right? Oh man, I want to be able to go every single weekend to this class. Maybe I don't have the money, but this is doing so much for me. Let me ask her if she needs help. I'm going to just ask. And then continuing to show up, you continuing to believe in your mentor's mission, that granted you an opportunity. I want to talk to you about something that I see you talk a lot about, especially working with Space Miami. Talk to me about your life, because you're a Miami girl. Mm-hmm. So were you always sober living and conscious living? Talk to me about that.
I knew that topic was coming.
Yeah.
I was definitely not always sober conscious living. There was a specific moment in my life with a specific circle where that circle introduced me to so much. They introduced me to weed, to Molly, coke, to see all of the things, acid, mushrooms, and thankfully, COVID cut it off in a way where I got to try out 75 Hard. I just like it made its way across my feed, and I completed 75 Hard, which to this day I have bragging rights, and I will brag about it. I completed 75 Hard because that shit was hard, and it wasn't even hard. It wasn't even the workouts. It was like the mental aspect of not lying to yourself, not because like. The only person you're lying to, if you lie about completing 75 Hard, 75 days straight of all of these rigid rules, the only person you're lying to is yourself. No one else really cares if you finish 75 days of like of like all this crazy stuff.
It's like the marathons.
No one cares. Yeah, like
no one cares
really cares
if you're running them. I always tell people, I'm like, I don't really care that you're running a marathon, but you know what? I'm gonna watch it for you. I'm gonna send you the clapping hands, but I don't care. You know what I mean?
You know who should care?
I don't care that you're going to church, but again, go ahead.
You should care.
You should care.
You should care. Like, if you're doing this, it's not a trend. It's because, like, you're trying to better your body, so you should care. What ends up happening is a lot of people don't complete it, and they trickle out, and 75 days after they posted day one, I'll be like, what happened? But a lot of the time they might even be like, I finished, especially if they were doing it as a group. Like they are holding themselves accountable, but like they might lie and they finish 75 Hard and they post that they finished, but they know that they slipped up and didn't do the things on every single Sunday, or they didn't do the things on every single Monday. And that's the whole point of the challenge. Like you mentally just lied to yourself, and you're going to continue to do that for the rest of your life. So in completing it, it just like completely rewired like my brain logic. Really? Once again, I was like, wait a minute. Like I literally was able to say no to everything all the time for 75 days because I was set in stone on this challenge, and no one was going to take me away from this challenge. No peer pressure, no party, no fun. So everyone else was getting lit, and I was like, no. And I started gaining ridiculous clarity, which I wasn't even expecting. But obviously when you're sober and when you're doing like this much work and you're reading and you're journaling every day, like shit starts to happen in your brain. So by the end of these like less than 3 months, I had like this wake up call that was like, oh, okay, like there's a path and I don't want that path. I want this path. Yeah. And it's okay if no one else wants this path. I want this path. And it was kind of like a silent like separation of like, okay, I'm going to go my way. Thank you for everything you did for me. Thank you for the things y'all taught me. And the vibes y'all had. The vibes. Love y'all. Yeah. Love you.
The hard conversation. That's not really hard.
Love you.
Love you.
But I gotta go. And through like within like 2 months of Andrew and I like going our own way. I gotta go my own way.
Mm-hmm.
When within like 2 months, we were like just basking in so much like peace and joy, and like our bodies felt good, and the things, we had so much time to like love each other again, that we didn't realize that we were so like tangled in this negativity that wasn't even ours too much. You just get tangled in it, especially when you're like empaths, that we were like, wow, okay, we made the right choice. And it just became easier to keep making the right choice away from that. And now I've been sober for almost 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Have not drunk alcohol, have not done any of the crazy party drugs. I do smoke a little bit of weed. It's chilling. But it has completely changed my life.
Good
it
for
has
you.
completely changed like the clarity that I have all the time. And that to me is the most important part. No one can mess with my head. No one can mess with saying, oh, no, but you said this. No, I didn't. Because I'm clear all the time.
Yes.
At all times, I'm clear. So no one can put words in my mouth. And that became really important to me at one point.
Good
just
for
being
you.
able to be like, no, like, I know where I'm at. I know that I haven't done anything wrong. And I love you.
Yeah, and I love you. But no, and as brujitas, you can't be consuming anything. It really messes with your psyche.
Yeah.
And every time people are like, you can't have a drink even, I'm like,
I didn't realize that back then. I was just...
It's not that I can't. I just won't. Why would I want for it to interfere with that? I mean, yeah, but then it's different. But and not to say that I never drink, but ever since I chose this path, I chose...
It's a lot more intentional.
Of course, everything is much more intentional. But I love it. Lily, I had so much fun talking to you. You're such a beauty of a human being.
I could talk forever.
I know. We'll do a part 2. Maybe we'll do something amazing. Cool.
Thank you.
I want to ask you something that I ask everybody who comes on the podcast. What does it mean to you to be rich in soul?
Oh, okay. Let me think. So, to me, being rich in soul means... I think a lot of what the theme for today's conversation has been, which is leading with love and then everything that stems from that. So the richness has nothing to do with the tax bracket, obviously. But it's about being in love with my life and loving the other people that are in my life and what's happening with them, and the way that the game is playing out. And let me elaborate on that a little bit. Right now, I have so many beautiful communities and so many beautiful people coming up to me. Like, I came up to Tiff literally 5 years ago with like, hey, I want to do this. Hey, I want to do this. Hey, I want to help with this. And like, they're so eager and they're so excited. So many of like my friends and just people in my community and photographers and instructors. And every time that I get to help them out, have them be a part of an event or give them a gig, or like someone else like you right now will come and be like, hey, I need a creative for this event, and I can give it to the creative who just told me last week that they were looking for a job. Like that. And then that creative coming to me and being like, yo, even if they don't come to me, but I know me seeing that they shot the pictures for your event, that makes me like rich in my soul. I'm like, oh, that's fucking nice. Like that
being
went
a resource,
that went through.
Being a plug.
Exactly. Almost like being a plug. And being a plug for joy and for love, and for people to understand that like in Miami, in this crazy main character chaotic energy, the love exists, and the people who care about you exist. They don't care about your 75 hard challenge. But
and they don't care that you're doing a marathon, and they don't care that you're checking in at church.
But if you're a creative and you're looking for a job, or you're having a bad time, or you need a hug, there's people who care.
Yes.
There's people who care. And that is so important for me, because when I needed it, when I was like not hitting rock bottom, but like going through a juicy time. I needed that community to show me that there were adults,
that there was other plugs
who cared, exactly, and who like were there to hug you. And I was like, wow, this stranger's hug feels so nice right now. And it's just like they were there. So this type of community that actually is filled with love, that's rich in soul to me.
Yes.
Hey.
I love it. That was so strong. Being the plug for the plugs. I love it. I love
literally.
it. And that's really what you were doing, right?
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And I think like asking for help is such a big thing. I asked you yesterday, I was like, and even today when you came in, you're like, oh, well, if you needed this, you would have told me.
Yeah.
Being a resource for people who are constantly a resources to our community is so big. And I do agree. I think that's such a beautiful way to say what makes you rich in your soul is being a resource to people, being used. That's what it's all about.
And it all comes back like tenfold. It literally does. That's not even a joke or a saying. It's just like I have not searched for any of the opportunities that have come my way. Wow. I open one door for someone and a hallway of doors opens up for me. So that's the way I see it, and that's the way I'll always see it.
That's testament that you're meant to be in this world. So keep on doing God's work. Keep on being strong the way that you are, speaking with love, not hard conversations at all. Always coming
real
from
conversations.
Real conversations.
With love.
I'm so excited to see everything that you achieve. Like you're just getting started. And I know that we'll be back on this couch.
Yeah.
Talking about
I'm
some
excited.
cool
It's cozy.
I know, isn't it? But thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for always inviting me to your events. I had so much fun.
Dale.
Where can people find you?
So my main handle and where you can find me everywhere is ALilyKat. ALILYKAT. And that's just my handle for everything. And you'll see all of the octopus limbs in that profile. It's not one thing. It's a little bit of everything.
I love it.
As it should be.
Yes.
Thank you.